Good morning and welcome to yet another great informative episode of Enterprise Morning right here from our headquarters in Enterprise Television. I am Henry EBK. In a bit, we'll be going to our newspaper headlines to see what we have for you this morning, and right after that will be our main conversation also for today. Please, we will implore you to join our community, belong to our tribe, and have a say in what we say by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Enterprise, following us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7, and also do well to visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. With me today in the studios to do justice to all we have for our newspaper headlines, Cyril Abaku, a journalist and a public affairs analyst, and Barrister Vanso Feli, a legal luminary and public affairs analyst. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning
and welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so without much, let's start off our newspaper headlines today with the first daily we have. Interestingly, it's coming from the Premium Times, and we have it. It's an update actually. Nigeria's agriculture minister confirms duty-free importation of beans, wheat, rice, and others, and it has it. Nigeria's Minister of Agriculture, Abubakar Kyari, has confirmed that the Tinubu administration has suspended duties, tariffs, and taxes for the importation of major food items like beans, wheat, and husked brown rice. It further said in a statement, Mr. Kyari, that the imported food will be subjected to a recommended retail price RRP. With this, the minister explained that the government hopes that the new food import policy will lead to a drastic reduction in the price of a basic food item. Cyril Abaku, do you think this is feasible?
Well, it's like doing something with one hand, taking it back with, or taking it with one hand and then trying to give back with another hand. But the policy in itself, in principle, isn't a bad idea. People have been advocating that to reduce the burden on households and really to cut back on food scarcity or the food insecurity, as they call it. That there was need to provide some relief for in the value chain, so that ultimately the goal will be to beat down the price of food items in the market, so the households can afford food. So yes, it's good, but the policy has already run into murky waters from the get-go, because first I think it was a tweet by one of the president's advisors. The media world ran amok, Then later on it was deleted, and then they said no. The comment was more like backtracking. Then suddenly the minister comes to confirm it. We hope that this time around it is true, and that we won't have to say, yes, we have approved, but not effective immediately. We are waiting for maybe another 6 months or 3 months for the thing to gain traction. It was the same way we reported it, that the policy had been enunciated by government, only for us to hear that it had not been made official. Now the minister has come to speak again. I'm just speaking to double speak of government. We saw when Ajuri Ngelale and Bayo Ononuga were going toe-to-toe, and we don't understand who to believe. Eventually, Ononuga's word came true. So, it was Ononuga who also put it out on social media, I think. Now, later, the minister has come to speak. But if indeed this is going to work, then fine. It's okay. Let's hope that. But ultimately, taking tariffs and taxes off food items is a bit petty for me. How about local farmers who can go to their farms? That's the ultimate. For me, because security shouldn't be in the hands of what others can do for you or what you're begging others to help you achieve. You must ultimately own it, because it's you that security is about. Your farmers can go to farms. Okay, this is rainy season, but they're all off the plantations. They can't go and plant. They can't go to the farms. Why? The factors that are militating against food security are entirely in our hands to control. We are not controlling them. We're not dealing with bandits. We're not farmers. For them to go to farms, they have to first pay bandits before they can plant, then pay again before they can harvest, and then they push the cost of doing business, in that sense, on us Nigerians. So this may not ultimately lead to a significant reduction in costs. It is a temporary measure, but how much of ad hoc can you use to fix an economy? It is impossible actually to use this sort of ad hoc measures to fix an economy. Normally, like they announced in healthcare, everything we are seeing taking off tariffs on drug importation and so on, and now on food. Let's ask us the first question: why are drug makers leaving Nigeria? One,
major blue chip drug makers
leaving Nigeria. Then number two, why can't farmers go to farms? Because you're taking off. Is it that we are going to become import dependent on drugs and on food? Is that you want to run the economy? So we need to ask. There are deeper issues. Yes, the president may have approved. I hope that it comes into effect as soon as possible. But exactly how and what's the long-term path to addressing the matter?
All right.
That ultimately, you see, the security of a man's physical well-being, which is food, and then the security of his environment, I mean his house and everything, which is physical security. I can be failing in those two things. Even the security of his intellection, which is education, we're failing in all these areas. So we need to sit up and do what will be a long-term solution, not this ad hoc, interventionist program that will not take us more than 5 years.
All right, Professor Fansufeli, Nigerians have called this a superficial policy solution which has no root underneath. Do you think that is true?
Yes, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable because it was a policy and a solution to a problem that made the federal government to ban the importation of rice in the first place during the Buhari regime to enable local production. Okay, and at that time, a lot of farmers took advantage of that, and then they had a lot of yield. And up until that time till now, the country have been doing well and they're feasting on the locally produced rice because we have the fertile land and we have the seedlings, we have everything.
Over 70 million hectares
yes.
of arable land.
So yeah, we just abandoned it and started importing rice and all that. So when the imported rice was made a contraband, we had a windfall. Okay, foreign rice wasn't coming except for the ones that are smuggled and all that. So we sustained that to a point where the insurgents now shift gear from attacking churches to attacking farmers. Okay, and we had layers of these insurgents attacking farmers, using cattle to overrun their farms. From there, we didn't have food insecurity immediately, because food insecurity will occur where, for example, as we are now, rainy season, farmers cannot access their farm now. The effect of this is not going to be today. It's going to be when you now need food and there is nothing to harvest. That's when the effect will. So now you're not saying you are not going to make it duty free, not just going back to where we were before, but to make it duty free to encourage. You understand? That is not good enough.
And you think that will not drop down the price?
It's not about price now.
Because
the
that's
quality of grains, but the quality of grains we get from Thailand and all that are usually expired rice that have been there for 14, 15 years in storage in the silos. They're not giving you who is doing quality control of this rice that are coming in. Who's doing the quality control on it? This one now that we're going to use to solve our problem. So are you not checking the quality and the safety of the larger public? Okay, and these are rice that have been under silos and storage, wherein they use chemical and all that to keep it safe and all that for years. Before you now, even in those countries, they don't eat those kind of rice that they bring to us. Okay, yes, so that's what I'm saying. So who is doing quality control on that? Who is also monitoring the locally produced ones? Okay, so why don't you address insecurity once and for all? You are not able to curb insurgency with all the powers in your hands. Okay, so who's going to solve the problem of the farmers who's going to solve the problem? And this importation we have reintroduced, how sustainable is it that we're going to rely on importation on food now wholesomely? These grains are going to rely on importation for our fuel. We'll rely on importation for toothpick. We'll rely on importation on beans. Somebody said very soon we'll start to import water and all that.
It's a possibility.
It tells you that. I mean, yesterday, I was on the traffic and I bought this tangerine, this kind of, especially of orange. I discovered that the ones we saw yesterday were imported. And when you taste it, because I can detect GMO.
GMO.
I can detect it anywhere, anytime. Because I know how it tastes. But when I buy the UK, the US, I know how. So the ones that I saw, I said, this is tangerine that in those days we peel them and used to play football. We'll take it, the remaining one will throw it up and be kicking it and all that. Now we're importing it. So you see, our problem have deepened in such a way that if the government of the day cannot arrest the issue now, this will leave more problem for the government coming. It will leave more problem for the government coming. And if we continue to degenerate like this, it will not be funny in the future.
Yeah, so curbing security issues is one of the key things that should be done. Cyril Abako, in 60 seconds, just before we move on to our next paper, we know it's a perennial issue. Do you think that would help the situation? Don't you think this is a better solution, even if it's not a lasting, sustainable one? Because, of course, you know, insecurity is such a complex issue that we wouldn't, 10 years is not even enough to settle it. So do you think bringing in this duty-free is a better solution for now?
It's an interim solution.
I hasten to jump in. You see, I was trying to cut into your question. Pardon me for that. But the point is that insecurity is not a perennial problem. We made it a perennial problem. If you say it is complex, we problematized it. It's not that difficult to, you know, the first thing you ask yourself is government even ready and willing to do what it ought to do? You see, the best way I explain government to people whenever I talk about my welfareist and so on policies is simple. I take Nigeria the way a parent will take his family. The best I've spoken copiously about the economics and macroeconomics of importation and so on. Let me even leave that one. My primary concern is, do you know that it's a shame to import food?
It's a shame to import
food. It's a shame.
United States does it from China.
It's a shame.
Okay.
There is what they call comparative advantage in the Committee of Nations. But Nigeria's own umbrella approach to this matter is that anything we can import, let's just import. Let's not bother about local anything. Why are we importing? Because our farmers can go to farm. And why can't they go to farm? Because we cannot secure them. Is that even a good reason? See, you see, in the Committee of Nations, defense is key. There's food defense. You know, they call it food security, but there's food defense. Nigeria will import eggs, banana from Ecuador, eggs from Kenya. But the point is this: no parent takes pride, right, in just sitting back, folding their arms, and hoping for handouts and help for them to train their children. It doesn't. Parents take joy in working hard, earning a living. A father will say, I sent my son to Harvard on my own account. You know, the parents take joy in training their children. It is because as a parent, you must work, earn a living, and fend for your family. There's pride in that. If the one that maybe some people could do that, they were helped, is okay. But look, no parent feels proud begging people to help pay school fees for their children. Nigeria is such a shameless situation in which we have the oil in our own backyard. We have the gas that is flaring away. We have oil that sometimes, even in Bayelsa, 2 years ago, I think it came that from the ground, oil was just coming out leaking. Crude! Coming out and leaking. No oil spill. The oil was tired of being under the earth. It came out and said, drill me, drill me, drill me. And yet, we are importing fuel. Come on now. Come on. You see, I always say this thing. Even arms that we want to buy from America to fight Boko Haram, if you can, you see, there's something about the world, and let me wrap with this. As three of us are on this table, foreign policy, that's how I break it down. Neighbor 1, neighbor 2, neighbor 3. You must put bulletproof doors on your fence. You must have barbed wire, what is it, on your fence. You must have doors that cannot be that are bulletproof. Do you know why? It's simple. While three of us are living amicably, in quote, he is planning to turn your own into a recreational ground and turn my own house into a garden, into a farmland. You are planning the same thing. So because you don't know what I'm thinking, you can't leave your existence to say my neighbor's goodwill. You must plan. When the coup took place in Niger, I said this coup took place as good as in Nigeria. Your neighbors has come on fire and you say you're going to sleep. The people who planned that coup in Niger, we're not afraid of Nigeria. There is sound reason and sense in not leaving your welfare and well-being in the hands of external factors. No. Nobody does that anywhere.
All right.
So the one that want to import food from God knows anywhere, then security too. We can't do the other. The Nigerian president to go hire mercenaries to fight Boko Haram. I was happy about all these kind of things.
All right, it's quite very unfortunate, but I would love you to hold your thought on that while we go to a Daily Independent newspaper. The big story here says NSAS protest ECOWAS court slams federal government finds it guilty of right of violations. On the top strip of the same newspaper, we have it. Livestock Ministry won't stop herders and farmers clashes. We've started preparing our 2025 budget, and that's coming from Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Brasavans Ofeli. They have called it economic largesse for the herders coming from Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Others have said President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a very good political strategist and not a good governance expert. Your take on that?
I agree with that last part of it. It's about politicking. You see, that is why the moment he dropped the ball on politicking, the moment he won, the first day he was to introduce governance, he got it wrong. The first day he entered office. All the while, look at the political strategy they use. Technical glint.
Barrister, sorry.
That, everything. So
now he had never even entered office, so
yes, they had not even entered office.
He had never sat on the chair.
He had never sat on the chair. The day he was being sworn in for him to go and sit on the chair.
On the road,
he got it wrong immediately. That is to tell you that what he understands is politics and not governance.
Yes.
So now he got on the seat and was completely confused because he had made a mistake before he entered the seat. So I agree with them because now this Ministry of Livestock and whatever it is they call it, is supposed to be a solution to a lingering problem, okay, which the Metiala, the sociocultural group, okay, seems to have applauded, okay, like it's part of their listening and all that. They've looked up to it, they've made application, oral, verbal demands in the past and all that. Now, the federal government is giving it a head start, okay? Well, whichever way you look at it, whether it's to solve problem or whether it's to water the ground for the president's second coming, any way you look at it, you are correct, okay? But is it the most pressing need of this government? Because on the scale of preference, I don't even think that is paramount right now. What is paramount? We're not giving it proper attention, and that is security. We're not giving it proper attention. So some people may argue that the creation of this ministry is part of a solution to security. Well, that can be taken, but is it really the main issue that should have been addressed at this time? Congratulations to them, but the larger society have not been properly guided and have not been properly screwed towards safety, okay? And as long as we're not able to get that, only yesterday or 2 days ago, 5 soldiers were killed.
Exactly, in Kaduna State.
In Kaduna State. In other places, they have been ambushed and all that. How soldiers are killed that way will tell you that there is communication gap, or somebody is sabotaging from in between. How do you know that 5 soldiers are laid out in a particular spot at the same time? So it's only through ambush they overwhelm the soldiers and all that. And we've seen that repeatedly. So can this president tackle security? It was part of the manifesto that just like even the previous government, they said manifesto, security, they are not able to deal with it. And as long as they're not able to deal with it, there's no other thing that will work. Whether you build roads, you build whatever it is, even infrastructure, you build amenities everywhere, as long as there's no security. Everything you are building will be overrun by the forces that want to crush this country. Let this president reappraise and direct policies on issues that are paramount on the scale of preference.
All right. I would have loved you to have your take on that, but just for the want of time. But if you may, if you would keep to your words, just 30 seconds. A rolling stone gathered no moist. Where do you think, what do you think should be the best plug to ensure that Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not continue in this route?
Oh, good. So we go from past presidents to Bola Tinubu now. Like I said, this is a capitulation. And the question I asked was that if in 2024, just 1 year into office, he's already given a whole ministry to some people, how much more is he going to give ahead of 2027? Because this Belmont is never satisfied. You will keep giving and giving and giving and giving until you give your seats. They will never be, of course, it will never be enough.
All right. Let's just hold it at that. Finally, Daily Trust, a newspaper for today. But let's just straight up go to the main story here. Bread beyond reach, citizens lament, and we have the writer here. Bakeries are shut down due to a rising cost of production. I remember very vividly during the days of Obasanjo, he did ask that cassava be used as a substitute for wheat. How
that's Jonathan.
It was Jonathan or Obasanjo? Jonathan. All right.
Cassava bread.
Yeah, cassava bread. Yes. Do you think Nigerians would be willing to do that as an alternative, knowing the high cost of wheat, which has, of course, a cost to the cost of bread in the market?
Why not? And cassava is not the only option. It's like swallow now. There's plantain flour for swallow. There are all kinds of. You see, again, it's like the CNG versus fuel thing. If the infrastructure is in place, people are going to access it. Okay. The problem is that government always comes up with a lot of policies and things which, in the end, won't fly. In my opinion, it shouldn't even be government talking about cassava bread or anything like that. The private investors know when an option is viable, they'll go for it.
Cassava is what we have in abundance.
Yes.
Okay. So
even
to exploit, will not be out of place. Maize too, we have it in abundance. So, what should we do when the ones that we actually don't have, the ones that we import, they're out of reach?
Have you ever had a cassava bread before?
I've not seen it before, but
it actually doesn't taste good. It actually doesn't taste as awesome as.
Well, maybe because of the mosaic acid, or I think it can be processed now.
Yeah,
those in food processing, they know how to go about it and make it. And ultimately, most people eat bread. Something is possible.
You're lucky you're not in France, because if you're in France,
it's a staple food in Nigeria.
It is in North America, in North Africa, and even in France. But where I would like to drop this is simple. He has already talked of processing. A bakery that does not actively employ food and nutrition experts from either Unilag or LASU or UI, what are they? It means that they are just doing agege bread. There's a lot that can be explored. Corn can do, even rice can do bread. Once it can be made into flour, forget about it. It's about the people's preference. Now, so if it's viable, then they should explore. Our government will be the one talking about cassava bread.
It's not the flour that gives it the taste. Is it not the sugar that gives it the taste?
Honey and so on, So it's for.
So I mean, because the flour itself is tasteless.
Yeah, it is.
You understand? So you just do the what they call it,
the dough and all of that.
And then you add whatever.
You add sugar, you add the things they add to it.
Well, of course, Nigerians would really hope to see a relief with that particular one, because as a newcomer in the bakery business, you need to see how Nigerians queue, just to buy a loaf of bread. So I think that would be a very good one. But that's just about the size we have for our package segment for today. I'd love to say thank you to Cyril Abaku and Evans for being part of our show today. But when we return, ECOWAS court finds Nigeria guilty of human rights violation during NSAS protest. That on a beat, please don't go anywhere.